And with this, I'm delighted to give the floor to Joe Robertson from the Citizens Climate Lobby. They are doing wonderful work here in the US on getting citizens engaged, and we hope to work together in the future.
Thank you, Miro, and thank you to everybody on the panel. And in fact, that was kind of a perfect setup for me, because one of the things that that I said months ago that Miroslav never lets me forget is that when we do this kind of work where we're trying to make the world better, we're trying to get people involved, we're always about an inch away from despair. And it's really important to acknowledge that, because if you actually try to fix something that's big, and God forbid global, you're going to be disappointed all the time. And you're going to be disappointed by people who say, I care, but then they just don't show up. And so what we do to make life easier for ourselves, we work with volunteers. Citizens Climate Lobby basically is an organization set up to facilitate direct citizen participation in the policymaking process. We organize citizens in small local teams, and they train to become skilled policy advisors to their own elected officials. So Miro mentioned that we work here in the United States. We actually have volunteers around the world now, but we did start in the United States in 2007. At that time, we had one local chapter with 29 people. Since then, the organization just keeps growing, and we now have over 14,000 volunteers around the world. Because of our history, most are still in North America, but in the last year, we've expanded to 4 other continents. And so the thing that I think keeps people going, that keeps people coming back, is you give them an opportunity to play a role. You give them the dignity of being able to actually make something happen. And one of the insights, which I think I hadn't really planned to focus on, but I'm going to because of the conversation and this question of getting out of our deep grooves, getting out of our one niche focus and learning to talk to each other. The first thing that a citizen who's going to go and talk to their lawmaker has to figure out is that when you have that conversation, the last thing on earth that matters is what political party you all belong to. Because if that matters to you, there's no point in having the conversation. That matters when you're trying to get someone elected. That matters if you think that human beings don't have any decision-making capabilities whatsoever. But if you're going to sit down with someone who's sworn to represent you, and the only thing that matters to you is what political party they belong to, you're making a prejudgment about their capabilities. You're making a prejudgment about their sincerity. You're making a prejudgment about their humanity. And even if they tend to be of the same political mind as you, that's tremendously insulting. And so it tends to lead to very narrow conversations about policy. If somebody knows that you have a lot of assumptions about how they think, they tend not to be all that interested in what you think. And if you say things that indicate that you think you know more about their mind than they do, they tend to think you're not that serious a person. And so we train our volunteers to actually understand that when you're going to talk to someone in political office, you need to start from the understanding that they're not you. They have a different mind, they have a different perspective, and you need to learn from them as well. And if they are from a different political party than you, or they have a different way of thinking about policy, you can actually come to an understanding about shared values if you just start from that premise, that you want to have some understanding of shared values, and then later you get to the policy. When people go into a meeting thinking, I'm going to tell this person what they have to do, it's probably going to be the last meeting they have. Unless the person who's being, not all that friendly happens to be tremendously powerful and can't be said no to. You're going to have the door shut in your face from that point on. So it's about building relationships and getting citizens into real relationships with the people who represent them so that those relationships become meaningful to both sides. That's how information starts to move back and forth in a more constructive way. And when you get people who've been frustrated and disappointed and who have learned how to despair frequently into that situation where they realize they have more capability, they can transform the political landscape through personal relationships, that tends to be very empowering. So our volunteers talk to everybody. And this is what we're getting people to do in other parts of the world as well, to think about how does this issue actually affect you, and how do you bring your perspective into the place where decisions are made. We started something called the Pathway to Paris project because it really came to our attention that a lot of people around the world, the way that climate policy is made in their country is in relation to what's going to happen globally. It's not really through the local political process. And so we wanted to find a way to bring people's voices into that process, and we thought, if we take the policy proposal that we use, which is about pricing carbon, we make it more inclusive, we find a way to bring more people into the discussion, we can start this conversation between people of different interests, different issue areas, from different political perspectives, from different organizations, etc. And as we began to move forward with that project, it became apparent that there are a lot of organizations working in the international climate negotiations who really fall into their own deep grooves, and they stay in that issue area and they talk to the people who worry about the thing they worry about. But in something as complex as climate, there has to be more of a fabric of interconnected information sharing. And so what we were interested in was, how could we actually mobilize the kind of direct citizen participation that we put into effect to enhance the capability of those organizations and those individuals operating in that space, who need to be able to learn about each other's perspective but don't have time to become experts in everything. So we've started a process of open working sessions where we get people together in a room, like this for instance, and we would have people share the thing that motivates them, their particular values. And you find very quickly that within a specific organization, even though everybody has a policy focus, they actually move to different areas of interest. And then they organize around those areas of interest, form working groups, and report back to the whole. And what ends up happening is we're educating a network of partners. So this is how we got to the point where we realized we could propose the creation of a citizens' climate engagement network that would be a fixture of the policymaking process. It wouldn't be owned by any organization, it wouldn't be controlled by a UN agency, it wouldn't be controlled by governments or co-opted by political, whim. It would be independent, open to all people everywhere, and it would have the mission of bringing people into the policy process, of facilitating that constant interaction of citizens with policy, of organizations with each other, of different issue areas into a coordinated fabric of policy making, so that we actually have millions of eyes on the problem around the world. We don't have to set up a global police force to make sure that climate action is happening. We just have people everywhere making sure that they're able to share what they see and what they know. And we can accurately judge whether things need to be enhanced or changed, or whether some diplomatic pressure could be brought to bear. And so you end up with a situation where citizens working constructively together can actually start to motivate and lead the policy process without necessarily undermining the authority of any of the existing institutions. They can, I think, as Miroslav said earlier very effectively, empower the institutions that exist to actually be more effective by helping them connect with each other, helping them connect with each other's area of understanding, and helping them connect to life in the real world as well.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Joe. Great to have you here, and also to hear about what you are doing and planning. There are great synergy potentials, and we also explored the idea that we work together towards the Global Challenges Giving Pledge, and perhaps you as a US-based organization will have easier access to those people who have already endorsed the Giving Pledge and who now don't know how to use their money, and perhaps we together can approach them in a meaningful setting up of a global structure for post-2015 agenda and COP21 outcome implementation.
She has